What is going on, everyone? It's your guy Cole Jackson back here on Road Graders, coming off a pretty long hiatus, coming back into the off season. Took some time off just to basically gather myself after that tough loss. I was down in Baltimore for it. Real tough 8 hour drive home after that loss in the AFC Championship game. But we're moving on. We're past that. We're gonna dive into the off season starting today. It's mock draft Monday, so we're gonna be doing what we've done in previous years. If you guys have followed the channel, we basically do. It's not live because I'm not filming live, but it's a recording of the actual simulator so that I can't basically play around and have the board fall the way I want, redo picks, that sort of thing. I try and make it realistic where I have to make decisions as things go. If you guys are looking forward to this, if you guys are looking forward to the off-season content, I think we have a very busy couple of months, a lot of draft prospects, and a draft that the Ravens have to nail. I'm really looking forward to diving into a lot of these guys. I'm actually going to be starting tomorrow with Andrew Voorhees, taking a look at his college film, seeing if he's a fit for the left guard position, give you guys kind of my opinion on that with the film from his USC days. So go ahead, hit that like button, hit subscribe if you're new here, if you're looking for film content, if you're looking for draft prospect content, this will be the spot to go, especially focusing on the trenches. So going into this mock draft, I want to do one before the NFL Combine. A lot of movement will happen, obviously, in the coming weeks based on guys boosting or lowering their stock. A couple of assumptions I'm working with. I think the Ravens are going to re-sign Justin Madubuike. I think he's going to be here long term. I think there's still a little bit of a need at defensive tackle, but not a huge need because I think that's their priority. They are likely going to keep Ronnie Stanley just due to the contractual situation. And I do think there is a real possibility they move on from Morgan Moses for the cap savings. Obviously, I think Tyus Bowser is going to be cut. So, I mean, those two right there, $10 million into the Ravens' pocket in a tight cap situation, pretty critical funds. So, looking at a lot of spots on the O-line and, no better spot to go than Road Graders to take a look at that. So let's dive right into this. Sorry for the long intro, but I wanted to kind of get into that. So we're going to go ahead. You can see it right there. 7 rounds with the Ravens, normal settings. We're going to kick it off. Not looking to trade up. I don't think we have the draft capital to be able to do that, though there are some prospects I am super interested in. And the board falls, not bad for the Ravens. Amarius Mims is a guy that really fits the Baltimore Ravens profile in terms of the offensive tackles they look at. Big, physically, you can see it right here. 6'7", 340, but a guy that moves, especially in pass protection, quite well. But a guy that needs to get better in his zone blocking. So I love the fit. For his pass blocking, he reminds me a little bit of Orlando Brown Jr. in terms of being a bigger, more physical dude, but a guy that moves pretty well at the right tackle position, and a guy that moves really well in space and is able to use his length effectively. So we're actually going to just go with the top prospect here. There's obviously Adonai Mitchell, Keon Coleman guys that I think fans will be interested in, but I think Amarius Mims, a raw guy, the Ravens kind of flavor lately in the draft, but a guy that can step in and, you move on from Morgan Moses and your number 1 overall pick goes with Amarius Mims, a guy that can kind of step in to that right tackle position. Get into second pick here, second round, looking at who kind of went before. A guy like Christian Haynes was a guy I'd be interested in. Javon Bullard, Jermaine Burton. Obviously, I do want to take a look at some of these wide receivers, but really worried about some of these guys. We get into guys with a lot of concerning profiles. A guy like Dontez Walker, more of a deep threat, not really that bully ball guy we want. A guy like Leggett, a guy that is a bully ball guy, but doesn't get a ton of separation. Brandon Rice, guys that are interesting. Jonathan Brooks would be kind of my BPA pick, but just not sure I want to go running back here. The guy that I'm actually taking a look at here is actually going to be the offensive tackle out of Yale, a guy that I think can come in and provide that left guard day one ability, and also obviously be a developmental left tackle. He played left guard. You can see here 669 steps in 2021. So he has played inside and outside. A guy that is very athletic, working on his pass protection, but a guy that beside Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum, I think moves in there real well. Day one left guard with the ability to develop as a left tackle. And really how I see this playing out for the Ravens is you go Amarius Mims, you go with Kieran out of Yale. You're looking at a potential, year 2, year 3, depending on when they move from Ronnie Stanley. You potentially just went with your bookend tackles in the first 2 rounds. But getting that day one ability to play left guard in this scheme, I think it makes a ton of sense. So now we get into day three, sorry, round three, still on day two. And I'm actually looking at Renardo Green out of Florida State, a cornerback that I find super interesting and kind of see some of the numbers here. If you guys want to pause, take a look at it. But a true outside corner, a guy that will take hits in his run D. I think that actually showed up on some of his tape when I was watching some of the running backs in the ACC. I think that kind of popped out. But a guy that's a good cover corner and someone that can kind of, provide that depth with, this being a little bit of a long-term projection pick because Brandon Stevens is going to be a free agent next year. They're going to have to try and retain him. Marlon Humphrey, obviously, that contract continues to be. It won't be this year, but moving into the future, it might be a consideration if he can't stay healthy. So, kind of long term depth there at cornerback that the Baltimore Ravens are going to have to take a look at. Where I'm getting concerned as we go through this mock draft is the lack of a wide receiver, and just the board's not falling very well for one. And this is with two picks at 131 and 134. I kind of want to take a look at Cornelius Johnson out of Michigan, a big body, physical guy, doesn't get a ton of separation, but is a contested catch guy, a guy that can get up for the ball. So I'm going to go with Johnson out of Michigan, add a wide receiver there that I think can come in and make an impact. A couple of guys that stand out to me, Trey Benson, running back out of Florida State, Cooper Beebe, a guy that can kind of come in and again offer that guard ability. Xavier Thomas out of Clemson, a much needed edge rusher, could really be there. It's really between Benson and Xavier Thomas for me. I do think the Ravens are going to invest at the edge position, and I think Trey Benson is a really solid fit for the Baltimore Ravens. One thing to take a look at, this elusive rating that PFF is doing. There's a couple graphics out there. It has been very good at being predictive of good NFL running backs. I know people are down on PFF, but that is a statistic to take a look at. So we are going to go with Trey Benson, a guy that I think can come in, really good scheme fit, and can complement what else they're going to do as we wait for Keaton Mitchell to come back. Kind of see how the boards drop now. You got Walter Rouse, tackle out of Oklahoma. Really interesting guy as a developmental. You got Luke McCaffrey out of Rice, obviously a guy that is going to draw some interest. But I'm actually going to go with Jalen Simpson out of Auburn, a guy that I find has been super underrated, kind of moves around a lot, really fits what I think the Ravens did with Geno Stone. I don't think, he's going to be able to step in and play right away, but we know the Ravens like to play three safeties. I think he's a guy that they can develop a lot like they developed Geno Stone. So, really like that pick. Coming out of Auburn, playing in that SEC division, playing a lot of tough matchups. I think it'll be really nice fit to get a player like that in there at the safety position. And then that leaves us with just one pick at the tail end of the draft. You're really kind of getting into, mostly special teamers, those kind of things. And I'm actually going to go with Jordan McGee out of Temple, a guy that is super underrated in my opinion because he's got really good linebacker tape, but also has that special teams upside. So someone I think the Ravens would be super interested in. With Patrick Queen likely moving on, they're going to need some depth behind Trenton Simpson and Roquan Smith. So they're going to do that there in the 7th round and kind of add to him. So that kind of rounds out our draft for the Baltimore Ravens. Now, we start O-line heavy, grab a corner, grab a receiver, grab a running back, safety, linebacker. So I think the positions we attacked are the right ones. But super interested to hear what you guys think. Was this the right move? I'm really interested what folks think of Cornelius Johnson because I think he's a bit more of a controversial, prospect in terms of what he's going to be able to do at the NFL level. Trey Benson, feels like a real nice BPA move, a guy that could be a week one kind of impact player at running back. So super interested to hear about that. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. What do you think about the O-line prospects now? Because I got to say, looks like we got a lot better in pass protection. Looks like we got a little bit more athletic. I kind of like the look of it. You're really looking at Voorhees and Ben Cleveland competing at right guard. And that's a pretty good competition to have. I really feel like one of those guys can come out and, stabilize this offensive line. Maybe even Voorhees, competing with Kyron maybe pushing Ronnie Stanley. A lot of flexibility with these guys, a lot of flexibility in the positions they could address. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think. If you like this video, hit that like button. And obviously, if you're new here, hit subscribe. Be good to yourselves. Be good to each other. Peace out, everyone.